Good afternoon, everybody. Can I get someone to give me a thumbs up or something in the questions monitor to tell me that you can hear me and also see my screen, please? Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll get started in about 2 minutes. Okay, I show that it is 5 o'clock, so we'll get started. I am Paul Yura. I am the warning coordination meteorologist here at the National Weather Service office in Austin, San Antonio. This is our 5 p.m. Saturday, July 6th briefing on Tropical Storm Beryl. Some overview on what's going on. Tropical Storm Beryl is still a tropical storm in the southwest Gulf of Mexico. Maximum winds about 60 miles per hour. It will likely continue that way probably overnight, maybe some slow strengthening into tomorrow as it approaches the middle Texas coast. The models continue to be very consistent now with the track of where it's going to be making landfall along the middle Texas coast, probably by early Monday morning. And then a weakening trend then obviously as it goes inland. Something new in bold there, a tropical storm warning has been issued for our Lavaca and DeWitt counties and our far southeastern zones of our jurisdiction. The heaviest rain is still the biggest threat, or the heavy rain is still the biggest threat across the far eastern areas of south central Texas, highlighting 5 to 10 inches of rain, possibly Monday and Tuesday, maybe some even like locally higher amounts than that. And because of that, we have issued a flood watch in effect for 4 counties out over our far eastern area. I'll show you a graphic of that. And then finally, just some additional impacts that could happen, especially over the eastern half of south central Texas, including the tropical storm force winds and gusts over 50 miles per hour, along with some isolated tornadoes on some of those rain bands that may be associated with Beryl. Here is just an overall threat level graph that kind of shows that wind and flooding rain is going to be still our overall threat for the far southeast counties of our jurisdiction, with river flooding and tornadoes being a lesser threat. Here's a chart that actually kind of shows the latest plot that we have from the Hurricane Center on where Tropical Storm Beryl is. It's kind of right there in kind of in the middle part, I guess, of the western Gulf of Mexico. You can see the forecast track expected to go to the northwest and actually become a hurricane on Sunday, tomorrow. The forecast models again are showing really good consistency, so kind of narrowing in on that middle Texas coast. And again, the rainfall of 5 to 10 inches with locally higher amounts is going to be kind of the main concern for a large section of south central Texas on the eastern half of our jurisdiction. And anybody still going to the Texas coast this weekend, the beaches remain quite dangerous with the rip current conditions and the surf conditions that are going to be there for the weekend into early next week. The good news is that as we look beyond Beryl, there is nothing really out in the Atlantic Basin that the Hurricane Center is tracking right now as far as a tropical disturbance or anything that has any sort of possibility of becoming some sort of named tropical system in the next 7 days. So hopefully while Beryl comes through and gets out of the region, there should be a pretty decent break between having to worry about something else tropical. Here's a current satellite loop in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico there. You can kind of see the Beryl kind of getting little bit getting its act together, a little bit of re-strengthening. There is still a lot of dry air, which you can't necessarily see on this satellite image. There's a lot of dry air, especially on the southern tier of the tropical system, and also some shear, which is again kind of slowing down its strengthening as of right now. You can also actually see the showers and thunderstorms that are now firing up and have been there pretty much all afternoon across portions of south central Texas, as well as the Houston region as well. Here is the current radar from our region, kind of showing the showers and thunderstorms. No severe weather today, but we are getting some localized heavy downpours. We have a couple of rain gauges that have had over 2 inches of rain. And so these are good summertime thunderstorms, producing some lightning, some gusty winds, but nothing severe at this time. We do think that the majority of all this thunderstorm activity should probably decrease after the sun goes down. Okay, so let's start talking about wind threats. This is the probability map that we show with the kind of the timeline of when we think that tropical storm force winds are going to be hitting the Texas coast and then also pushing inland. So you can see by this graph that by Sunday PM, so basically Sunday night on the Texas coast, we should be getting some pretty high probabilities of getting tropical storm force winds. And then as far as pushing inland, that could actually come as early as Sunday evening as well. So if Beryl strengthens more than is currently forecast, then we may have to add on a couple of counties onto our current tropical storm warnings. Currently, right now, the tropical storm warnings are for DeWitt and Lavaca counties. And so there are more warnings as you head southeast into Corpus Christi region and also the Houston's jurisdiction. In fact, these lighter colored reds are actually hurricane warnings. So DeWitt County and Lavaca County are currently tropical storm warnings. And as I mentioned, if there is a change at the track, if there's a change at the strength of Beryl, it could be that we have to additionally add in some other counties, maybe later tonight or even tomorrow before landfall. As of right now, we're expecting sustained winds could reach tropical storm force, which is 39 miles per hour or greater by late Sunday night, and better chances are having those tropical storm force winds across that region of south central Texas on Monday. We could get gusts of over 60 miles per hour possibly with this system. Along the coast, they have increased slightly the amount of surge that is expected, especially around the middle Texas coast, 4 to 6 feet, and then lower amounts as you go down the coast and further up the coast toward the Louisiana coastline. With the rainfall that we're expecting, we do have an inland flood threat. You can kind of see that on this map, where from going from west to east across the region, the threat increases as we head toward east, basically along Interstate 10 as you head toward the Houston area or along where the path of Beryl is expected to go. Again, we're highlighting 5 to 10 inches possible across the far eastern areas of our region, which could be localized flooding and also some minor river flooding as well. This is kind of a broader picture of where the heavy rain is expected to go. Again, following the path of where Beryl is expected to go, middle Texas coast, up then into east and northeast Texas, and then finally, very quickly then even out into Arkansas. So the heaviest rainfall totals will likely be along and just east of the forecast path of Beryl, which is generally going to be east of Interstate 35 and Interstate 37 corridors. Again, some fluctuations of these rainfall totals are still possible based off the track of Beryl and then also the strength of Beryl as well. Here's kind of a close-in view of our jurisdiction of south central Texas. And you kind of see right along Interstate 35 between the urban areas of San Antonio and Austin. Yes, we could still get a couple of inches of rain. We do tend to be pretty dry on the west side of a landfalling system like this. So we do think that mainly the eastern areas of our region are going to have the majority of the rainfall and the highest rainfall totals. There could be a substantial decrease in rain amounts as you head west. What that means is that these colors could really get bunched together, literally right along Interstate 35, much like we kind of saw with some of our other previous tropical systems that hit on the middle Texas coast and upper Texas coast. It does tend to make our western areas very dry during those landfall situations. Because of that rainfall potential, we've issued a flood watch for 4 counties of our region, including Lee County, Fayette County, DeWitt County, and Lavaca County. Again, 5 to 10 inches of rain possible. The majority of the rainfall we really think is going to fall between Sunday night and most of the day on Monday. The system should be really kind of exiting out on Tuesday, but technically the flood watch as of right now is in effect from Sunday night all the way through Tuesday morning. So the typical flood preparedness should be handled with low water crossings, being careful driving around any of those during times, especially on Monday, because we could get into some of those flood issues especially in the flood prone locations. There is going to be a small tornado potential, especially as the system is making landfall on Monday. If any rain bands are kind of circulating in and coming in off the ocean and coming into our region, those do have a potential to produce small tornadoes. I think the majority of the tornado threat will, however, be off to our east, especially along the Texas coast and closer to the Houston region. So the key takeaways, the forecast track of Beryl has really not shifted much over the last day. And so what that means is that better confidence from the meteorologists, better confidence from the hurricane forecasters, and hopefully what that means is that we're really honing in on where it's not only going to make impact and landfall, but then also what the threats are going to be. So for us, in general, the threats are going to be the flooding rains, especially across the eastern areas, and of course, any sort of tropical storm force winds closest to the path and the center of Beryl as it makes landfall. To be honest, areas along Interstate 35 may not see many significant effects at all from this storm. It's a very small storm. It's expected to remain a very small storm compared to other tropical cyclones and tropical storms and hurricanes. So with that kind of points to having very concentrated impacts and threat areas, which is probably going to be east of Interstate 35. So continue to monitor the forecast of Beryl. We are expecting possibly making some adjustments to maybe the flood watch, and then also maybe even the tropical storm warnings. Like I said, if the forecast changes anything, or if there's some sort of substantial increase in Beryl overnight, or maybe even during the day tomorrow. So confidence is kind of right there in the middle of the scale, but it has been increasing as, again, the forecast track of Beryl has become better defined. So with that, this is our last slide. This is an opportunity for you to type in any sort of question that you have in the questions feature of the GoToWebinar. We will be hosting 2 webinars again tomorrow, 11 a.m. as well as 5 p.m. and then likely also on Monday and possibly even Tuesday as well. These sessions are being recorded. We're going to be sending out the slides. We're going to be sending out the recording. As soon as we're finishing up here, I'm going to start making all of that and sending out, hopefully within the hour, you'll have those in your inbox. So if I don't see any questions, we'll kind of wrap this up. Again, have a good rest of the weekend. Keep watching the forecast, see if anything substantial happens overnight, and we'll hopefully talk to you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Take care.